Finally back in the timber today. Over the weekend, Dad and I both looked at timber. Dad was out here just on the other side of Fort Scott, Kansas, and I was not too far from here, maybe a half mile to the west, looking at some of the neighbors' timber. Dad bought a really good job, and I got a pretty good job bought myself for the weeks to come, so kind of add to the lineup here what we got to do. This morning, had to put the jumper cables on the 440C to get it to fire up. Had a little trouble cranking over, so we put them on there to help it get going. It's about 26 degrees down here in the bottom this morning, so pretty cool for this part of Missouri. It's not a hard freeze by any means, but the ground's a little crusty. That'll probably change here after a bit. Now they're talking like some warmer weather this week. I think Wednesday they're talking like high around 63 or 64 degrees, so that'll be some good working weather. Now we should get this part of the farm finished up this week. I wouldn't imagine it'd take us but a few days to get wrapped up, since all the walnuts pretty much up this little valley here along the creek, along this little ridge or bluff, whatever you want to call it, and along the creek. Now we've got some trees to pull this week as well, which down there where Dad's cutting, some pretty good trees. Brandon and I actually, we didn't think we'd be in the woods today. Brandon and I were actually going to go to Iowa. We'd found a lowboy trailer we were going to go try to buy. Made the arrangements Friday night to go up there. We were going to go today. Then Saturday the gentleman called and said he'd sold the trailer, so that's okay. We'll keep looking. We're not in any big hurry, but we kind of know what we're looking for and what we want, so that's kind of why we're looking far and wide to an extent. We don't want to have to drive a long ways, but it seems like when you're looking at older stuff like that you just kind of got to go where it is, and that's all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my saw ready to go. This thing will warm up a little bit more. We'll go down here and do some cutting and get out what Dad's got down. Dad's up here cutting some trees that have kind of been hit by lightning. We'll zoom in here. That one he's getting ready to cut's got some scar on the back side. Of course, that big one there, we can zoom in. You can definitely see the scars riddling it from top to bottom. So I think different trees respond differently to lightning and sickness, kind of like different people respond differently to some sicknesses and illnesses. It seems like some trees, they can handle the lightning a little better, and I'd say it has to do with their genetics. Now, I'm not a scientist, I'm not college educated. These are just things I've noticed in my years out here in the timber, and I always kind of think about things like this. But you can see this tree here in the top, it's really not terrible. It's got a little spot here that may or may not be from the lightning. You can see that little scar just runs down the side of this, and it's ugly. You're wrong, and it hurts it. Definitely does. Especially back here, you're kind of getting into it. But if you look here in the butt, it's got this one part up here, and it's really not horrible. The rest of the log looks pretty good. And you never know how these lightning struck trees are going to cut. Each one of them, it seems like, cuts a little different. I've seen some of the great big trees that have just been worked over by lightning time and time again, like out in the pastures. It seems like they'll scar over and just keep on going. Then you can get some smaller trees like this that are a little younger, and the lightning just does them in, works them over, kills them. And then there's the big trees where, you know, the lightning scars don't look that bad. Then you go to cut into them and, you know, they've got big problems. So you just never know how that stuff's gonna, you know, affect the tree, the quality of it. And you don't know how the tree's gonna react over time. Now, all in all, so far this morning, these are pretty decent trees. They've got a little size to them. The thing they've really got going for them is just the overall height. Kind of growing here at the foot of this little ridge, little bluff. It's not that big, and I know it doesn't look that big through the camera lens here, but it's I can't really explain what I'm looking at here. It's just kind of a little ridge that runs the length of this bottom here, and these walnut grow underneath it. But the good thing about them growing underneath there, they're competing for their spot in the canopy with the other trees there kind of on the top. So that's produced a good tall tree. I'd say 20 inches is probably the biggest one over there. Just good clean trees. Here's a couple prime examples of the lightning I was talking about. This tree here cut off really good in the butt. Showing just a little bit right here on an old scar. Not really too bad, but if you look, this side's laying down, but you can see that old scar going up through there, but it didn't affect the butt of it too much. Now this tree here was right beside it, which that's just an old scar right there where limbs broke off during a storm or something. Maybe the lightning itself. Here's the scar that's almost healed completely over, healed over up in here, come down, then it didn't cut very good at all in the butt. So it just goes to show you, you never know what these things are going to cut like. It's been worked over by the lightning. This one here cut pretty good. It's a lightning tree. This one here, not too bad. So we've been going along kind of between dragging and dad cutting. I've been trying to get some of these treetops kind of cleaned up. So what I do is I go in here at the skidder and try to move the big stuff, get it pushed up under the bluff there, under the ridge. Then we'll come in with the skid steer. We'll kind of do a fine sweep of the small stuff, which that treetop there, I got to push it out of the road. I'll swing it on around, take it back up in here at these other couple tops. Like I said, then we come in with the skid steer, we can kind of smooth out all the dirt we've pushed around, get all the small stuff out, have it looking good. This tree here has a deer stand up in it. Kind of see it there in the background. I climbed up in there and just unstrapped it. Took the strap off the bottom, we took it down, set it back there where it won't get damaged. This ground's all leased. A lot of deer stands and a lot of trees. It seems like people always put the deer stands in like the best tree in the timber. Doesn't matter if it's walnut, white oak, big bur oak. My favorite are the screw-in type, where they find like the most absolute gorgeous veneer tree. And they either drive spike nails or the screw-in spikes climbing stands. We've run into that countless times. It's a pretty good sized tree. It's just going to fall back in here. There's kind of a little ditch over there, so that's where we'll put the treetop when it falls. Work it up. I think we got one more. Yeah, one more in there to cut. You can see it there in behind. It's the last one of this group down here. We started out, there's a couple here we had to pull. We've already cut 2 or 3 up in there. 2 left to go. Dad's went in for the day. Chicken hawk. There are more chicken hawks over here in this part of the world than any place I've ever seen. Anyway, so Dad's went in for the day. We're going to cut a few more just to kind of round out this little area right here. That way all we got left is kind of along the ridge. Hopefully these guys will stay back out of the way. I kind of chased them with the skidder a minute ago to try to get them out of this area and keep them over there. So hopefully when I fire the saw up, they'll kind of run a little further. Get this pretty good sized tree here. Starting to grow into this hackberry. It's already grown into, see right there, it's already grown into it. Grown into it on this back side a little bit. The sun's bright. So this might be interesting to see how this thing falls. I might have to cut this hackberry just to get this tree to fall. So it's intertwined right there quite a bit, grown into each other. So probably ought to go ahead and cut into that hackberry. That way when this walnut falls, we can just bring it down too, and it ain't just sitting there hung up, because with that much weight on this little tree, it will become a problem. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it? I knew when I clipped that last spur on that walnut and it wasn't going anywhere, I knew this hackberry was holding it up, which we knew before we started cutting because we could see where things were growing into each other. Come a little off even on my back cut there, not too bad. Maybe 1/4 of an inch, if that. But yeah, when I clipped that spur and it didn't start to fall and it was just standing there, I knew the only thing left holding up was this. So when I clipped that, I seen things were starting to go somewhere in a hurry. And luckily I kind of had you placed here on my getaway path, because it's always good to have an escape path when you're cutting timber. Keep it clear of debris and stuff. That way if you got to run, there ain't nothing tripping you up. So I just grabbed you and brought you with me. I should have left you there, but I didn't know where this thing was going to go. I wasn't too worried about the walnut. I was worried about this hackberry getting squirrely. As big as that walnut is, it could have just tossed this thing around and shot it back like a missile. Luckily it didn't kick off too terribly far. I wouldn't want to have been behind it. Now that we got this monster trimmed up, we'll get the log out of there, take it to the deck. When we do our cleanup, we've got some other tops out here too. We'll push everything back over here. This will be a good place for a burn pile. Just put it all right here around these stumps. So I did cut this one hackberry stump a little high. So instead of getting back down there, cutting it in the dirt with that walnut, we'll just make our burn pile here. Kind of the same deal here. This little hedge was holding this walnut up. I think if I'd have got that last little bit holdwood clipped right there, it might have went on, but I just went ahead and cut this limb and brought it down. See, when I was born, see some of that yellow sawdust there? That's from that hedge, so I knew I'd punched about all the way through. Kind of odd to always see these trees growing into one another. It always kind of fascinates me how they do it. Never fails. Things are going along pretty good, then tragedy strikes. Blown hose right there. Part of the steering. A lot of fluid came out of that guy right there. Luckily it's a short hose and it wasn't too hard to get off, and hopefully it'll go on back on pretty easy. So before we head home tonight, we'll stop and get that thing made up, because it's about 5 o'clock. Of course, it had to happen right here at the end of the day. But we got about all of our pushing done, our cleanup in one area. I was actually making, seriously, like the last little push. And I seen kind of a puff of steam, and I thought, that can't be good. So I hot-footed it back here to the deck, because I always try to get back to close to the working area as I can when we have a line go down. That way we can get the truck right to it and try to address the problem. So not a bad day all in all. Log piles up there, we'll stop and look at it. Pretty good day. We should just about finish up the cutting right here tomorrow. Some pretty good sized logs in there. I don't know how many we got left to go, but if I can get the hose back on in a timely manner in the morning, we shouldn't have any trouble getting close to wrapping this up tomorrow on this part of the farm. It's a pretty good day as far as footage goes. I'd say we'll try to do at least this much more tomorrow, and that'll have the wraps on it. Hey guys, if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for all of our latest videos.